Hello viewers, Super GT here. Welcome back to Gran Turismo Sport. Now this theme of this video is the importance of qualifying. You see here, I started 10th on the grid, which obviously isn't an ideal position to be starting in. But just before we proceed with this race, I want to show you something else. And it's, well, brace yourself. You might need to have a shower after this, because it's going to be very, very filthy. In fact, just drink some bleach after this because it's that bad. So 1, 2, 3 hits into the wall with damage at the beginning of an FIA race. And, well, the end of my hopes and dreams, basically. So back to the present day. Back to Brands Hatch. 10th place on the grid in the 911. It's the daily race B of the week beginning 24th of September. So let's see what we can do. That guy's just going to drive straight off the track, and we're up into 9th. So qualifying, yeah, it's massively important, and I think especially so in this race here, because race A and C of this week are really bad, and therefore I think most people will be opting to do this race instead. And as a result of that, the quality of the qualifying is a lot higher, and therefore it's going to be a lot harder to get past people, because I think the quality of the driver is slightly higher as a result of the other races being so bad. So qualifying has an extra importance, and you can see here I didn't really qualify well enough. I did 1 minute 26, which isn't a great lap time. Looking at the inside of the Dutchman into Sheen Curve, got the job done. He kind of left me space, so fair enough, up into 8. But the 126 isn't that great a lap. I know I could do a 123 around here, and the main issue I had is really that I had about 5 minutes to jump in, do 2 laps, do 2 flying laps, and you're probably going to make mistakes on those 2 laps. Ideally you need to be doing at least 5 or 6 laps at least if you want to be setting a good qualifying time. So that's the main problem there. I think you just got to be a little bit patient. Sometimes I'm guilty of just jumping straight into a race with minimal preparation, and you're going to have a bad qualifying time, and you're going to make mistakes in that car because you're not quite accustomed to it around that track. So it's definitely worth investing some time, even just 20 minutes, just to get a good qualifying time, and you're going to get much better results as a result. But anyway, I suppose if you're here for fun, it's going to make the race more exciting. As you see here, I'm going to gain 2 positions on the way out of Surtees down the back straight. So there is some fun to be had with coming through the pack, trying to make your way through. So I think on race pace, actually I've gone straight to the back of the Atenza, so a little bit too deep, trying to trail brake in. I've gone defensive, and again he's gone defensive ahead, and I've gone into the back of him again, trying to not overtake him as a result. You can see the gap opening up to the guy in 4th as a result of all this carnage. So that's the downside. The guy behind, I think it's the Ukrainian, spinning on the apex of Sterling's and losing a ton of time. So I'm just trying to go defensive whilst not overtaking this guy ahead by punting him wide. But we now settle down into 6th. You see that just how much of a gap opens up as a result of just a couple of hits in the rear end of someone going defensive once. That's just the result of that, and it's going to take the entire race to catch that back up unless the people ahead start to make a mistake. So the guy ahead in the Mazda Atenza, not the greatest car, although I do like the Atenza. I think it's probably about half a second off the pace, but it's fairly sturdy and it's got a good top end, so it might be quite hard to overtake that car at the end of a long straight because it does go so well. And I've made a bit of a mistake here. There are a load of marbles on the outside of that turn, and they can kind of spin you wide. You see they're just dropping off by about a second now, and I've actually got close attention from a German behind. And into here, I thought sometimes you can just swing around the outside and the guy on the inside doesn't go past, and I thought that would happen there. Unfortunately it didn't. So the German in the Mercedes actually goes up into 6th place. It was a good overtake on the whole. Sometimes I'm guilty of not defending, hoping that I can sweep around the outside and just keep the position. He's actually gone wide though, I've gone straight back past. So I'm back up into 6th place. So coming up towards the end of lap number 3 now, I kind of interrupted myself. I was going to say that on race pace, I think my race pace is much better than my qualifying pace. So there is always a difference, I think. Well, not always a difference, but there is often a difference. So I think my qualifying times aren't as good as what I can do in a race. I think I can race at a fairly good pace in the race, but I can't set one of those blistering lap times, just those one-off laps which can get you a good grid slot. But you do need to put the time into qualifying, because you'd be surprised, even after 10-15 minutes you can just find another couple attempts, and in a close lobby, that can mean 3 or 4 positions, which in a 6-lap race, which isn't very long, about 10 minutes, finding 3 or 4 positions is very hard to do once the race has started. But if you can just get it for free at the beginning, then you've just helped yourself out massively. So race pace is often different, and I think mine is far better than my qualifying. So that's often why I do move forwards in a race. You might notice that sometimes starting a little bit further back than what my race pace suggests, but then moving forwards in the race, as other people can't quite replicate their qualifying. I suppose I can just about get it quite consistent. And this question was often asked of me in recent live stream. How do you become consistent? How do you practice consistency? Consistency really comes down to knowing braking points and knowing the gear for each corner. So for example, we could do a lap here, coming into the first turn, there's a couple of balls on the left hand side, braking after the second and third one, just after the second one basically, and you're going to go down 1 gear. Mistake there from, I think it was the pole sitter, he's down into 6th in the Audi. There's an orange barrier on the left hand side, we're going to brake there, down into 1st gear in this car, and then just gently on the throttle on the way out. Very easy to spin the tyres out coming out there. Braking just before that curb on the right hand side, and you can go really wide on the exit. And coming into turn number 4 now, there's a brake board on the right hand side there, the 1, and you're going to brake just on that pretty much, then hook up the apex and accelerate when the curb goes thin on the inside. Hawthorne's bend coming up is quite an easy one, because there's a couple of boards and you're just going to brake on the second one basically, which is there. And once you know exactly where to brake, things become really easy. And braking between the 2 boards, pretty much halfway between the 2 boards, that can be a little bit tricky to do, but you kind of just visualise when you're exactly halfway between them. That's a good braking point. This one's really difficult because I'm just judging that one by eye every time. There's not really a marker. It's got quite cosy up ahead. You can see 2nd, 3rd and 4th quite close in attendance. I'm up into 5th as we come up to begin the final lap of the race, and braking just before the 1 board and down 1 gear. So once you know where to brake, things become really easy. Not really easy, but far easier. You can just brake at the same point every time, and you're just going to get around the corner in the same way every time. That's assuming that you're going in at the same speed, and there is something else to take into consideration, which is your tyres. In this race there is no tyre wear, so it is going to be the same. But in a race where there is tyre wear, you do need to start braking earlier as your tyres begin to degrade, or sometimes your brake bias will change your braking point as well. But on the whole, the braking points that I just mentioned, I'll use those, and then if it's a little bit too early or too late, I'll just adjust it slightly. So here, Ivan the Russian going really slow for some reason. He's gone from about, I think he was 2nd, now down to 5th. Can't quite fathom why he's slowing down so much, but I'm now up into 4th. So this represents quite a good result, and I know that I have made up 6 positions here, and 4th is a good place to be from 10th. But imagine if I started 3rd, I probably could have been at least 2nd, maybe not 1st. The 1st place has done really well here, but you never know. There's probably no chance of beating 9 people from 10th on the grid, but if I started 3rd, there's a good chance I could beat 2 people who are ahead of me. So things do make a lot more sense to you when you're further up in the grid. Things just become a lot easier. So there's the result, 9-11 winning it, and 3 different cars on the podium, so that's good to see, I suppose. And 4th place, and not a 6th, but I did go up 6 positions, so quite close. So this is me trying to improve my qualifying time. So on my first lap out here I did a 24.5 after setting a 26.0, which wasn't a good lap, and I know I could do a 23 around here, but I'm going to try to beat this. The Ghost is a 24.5 as you can see, but I'm going to beat it just about by hooking to the right hand side and go straight to the line with a 24.420. Blaze it. Okay, here we go then. So you see that time has put me right up the grid, up into third this time. If I'd sticked with my 26, I'll be on the lower ends of the top 10. So here we go then. We've got Ivan just behind, so he was the Russian who went really slow for some reason at the end of the last race. Isaiah's in pole position in the pink Audi R8, so he made a mistake through turn 1 on the previous race, so we're going to see if that's going to happen again. And we've got the Belgian ahead, XQWYLOW82HGC. Quite where he's got that name from I don't know, maybe it's his Wi-Fi password, but he's going to go for a move up at the inside on turn 4. Is it quite going to happen? There was contact and I think he's backed out of it. Guilty. He didn't really want to go through after making contact. That's going to give me a run though on the back straight, and I'm going to get alongside, so this move should be on here as we come up the hill, braking again on that 2 board. Sometimes you do need to adjust your braking point if you are on the inside, because you do need to start kind of brake a bit earlier, but if you know, sometimes you do need to just brake on the normal point. I think they're just braking on the normal braking marker just to make sure that you stay ahead of the other car, but sometimes you do need to adjust slightly, brake a little bit earlier if you're going in narrower. So now up to second, so game 1, the guy ahead does look quick. I mean, he's the pole sitter and he should be fast. And you see they're just grazing 2 wheels on the grass. This just gives me a hope, a faint glimmer that he's going to make a mistake, and he ran really wide. He's pushing the track limits to the limit on these bends, so that is something to watch as we begin lap number 2. And you see there again all over the AstroTurf, yes, he is maximising the track, and again on the grass he's really sketchy at this moment, and it just looks like a mistake is coming, because that driving style is just going to lend itself to making mistakes. Not particularly smooth, and again really wide over the grass. He is quick, I mean he is pulling away, but it's not going to bode well, especially in a longer race. If you're going to keep doing that, it's not going to be good for your tyres. Not that that matters here, but it's not going to be a driving style that really works on the whole if you're going to keep pushing the track limits and going across the grass to really maximise your time. So coming through Hawthorne, he's gone really wide on the exit again. On the way in, he's got a poor run on the way in, and he's just going to go really wide. That is really sort of inconsistent bad driving there. So just running really wide on the exit, he didn't need to do that. He had the pace. He had the pace to win this just by driving safely and just driving consistently. And I think he's just pushing way too hard. He was out of the slipstream range. He didn't need to push too much. From here on to the end, now it's my turn to basically show how you manage a race. I think at this point here it can be easy to get flustered and begin to start making silly mistakes and get erratic, but you kind of just got to stick to what you know. I know the braking points, I know where I'm accelerating, I know which gear I'm using for each corner, so all I need to do is kind of replicate that another 4 times and then I'm done, and then just hope that that is fast enough. If it's not, well, it's not fast enough, and then I might have to defend from the guy behind. But at the moment the gap is 1.7, which is fairly comfortable. It's not huge, but he's not within my slipstream range, he's not within overtaking range, and he's not going to go for a dive bomb, hopefully. I mean, he could probably dive bomb me from 1.8 seconds back, but it would be a very brave move, and it would probably result in both of their deaths. Coming up into Hawthorne Bend, again on the 2 board, hooking it up nicely, and not really running the full track width on the way out, nearly, but not quite. There's not much point in pushing the limits. We saw what happened with the German in the lead. Just pushed it way too much and made a very silly mistake. It wasn't just one mistake; he was making lots of mistakes in a row. So perhaps you should have noticed that and perhaps reeled it in a little bit. Just realised, actually, I'm running wide here. I need to stop doing that because I'm going to end up driving off the track. So that's the end of lap 3. Again, running really smoothly on the way out. The 911 going smoothly. The 24.1, which I think is good pace in this race. Some of the really fast people lapping in the 23s in the race, which is very quick. But if you can do low 24s, I think that's very good pace for this. Race winning pace is 23s or depending on who's in the race I suppose, then low 24s. At the moment the gap is opening up to 2.7, so I'm just looking at that, just managing the race. Do I really need to be pushing too much? No, because the gap is opening up. Guys behind are fighting, I think. Yeah, first and second are pretty much right on each other. In fact, the gap's gone even bigger, 3.3 momentarily. Yeah, 3.3 at its peak here. So second and third are engaged in battle. So that kind of is handing me the victory here, because I don't really need to fight too much. Now, bottle job is a term that springs to mind right now. So you've seen it many times from me, making silly mistakes. To be fair though, I drive well sometimes. I make silly mistakes at other times, just through lack of concentration really. So I drive well sometimes, and sometimes I don't. It's just one of those things I do need to improve. But here I think really at one with the 911 around Brands Hatch. I think Brands Hatch is one of my favourite tracks. It is a very good challenge, hard circuit to get right, lots of elevation change, lots of banked corners, lots of blind corners like this one here. So it's not an easy track to get right, and it's very easy to make a mistake around here. It's unforgiving as well. You may have seen, I think it was the first FIA race I did in season 3. I just ran wide. I was in a really good position in the top 10 in a high level lobby, and just ran wide on the exit of turn 1 into the gravel. It sucked me off really hard, and I was just expired in the wall. So this is quite an unforgiving track. No tarmac runoff here to save you if you make a mistake. If you go wide, we saw it with the German. You get pulled wide and you succumb to the gravel. So that is something to consider. There are some tracks which allow more leeway, and you can sort of push the limit a little bit more, because the risk isn't so bad, because you just run wide and you're on tarmac, so it's fine. But here, the risk is a lot higher. You're on grass, you lose a lot of time if you get pulled wide, so you absolutely don't want to do it. So still driving within myself here. Gap up to 4.5. It's looking comfortable with 1 lap left to go. My pace is looking good, 24.1, 24.5, 24.3, consistent within 4/10 of a second of each other. The last 3 laps. Let's see what this lap is going to be. Going to be a 24.2. So still, all my laps are within 4/10 of a second, which is good to see. And when you're consistent like that, then that kind of shows you that you're comfortable with the car, comfortable with the circuit. So things are going well right now. And I think being unchallenged at the front does make things a lot easier. If someone's catching up with you very quickly, it's much more likely you're going to make a mistake. But I think you've just got to keep calm and just lap to the best that you possibly can, which is just to hit the markers that you know, do the things that you know. You see they're making a bit of a mistake, but I think I can afford to do that. Just off the throttle, no point in trying to keep your foot in there. I've got 4.5 seconds to play with. If a mistake looks like it's coming, just back right off and just lose. I can afford to lose a couple of seconds on this lap. It doesn't matter, because I'm still going to win. As long as I get round. So the guy in second, the Belgian's got through, missed the Wi-Fi password. The Russian's gone down to 6th. He seems to have these late race meltdowns. Don't know what that tactic is, and he's in 6th. Perhaps he just wants to finish in 6th and be the Super GT of the race. But he's going to achieve that at least. And Azaya's the pole sitter who made the mistake in 5th. So this is going to pretty much end the video. I do hope you enjoyed it. So a quick talk about consistency and just qualifying, perhaps 2 very important things in this game, in any racing game really. I do hope you enjoyed it. As always, do let me know your thoughts, and if you're new to the channel, then do consider subscribing if you enjoyed it. Thank you very much as always guys for the support. Much love from Mr. Super GT. I shall see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.